You caused this. My son is almost dead and it's all your fault.
Karen, your son stole my car. I should be suing you.
I always knew Karen was living in a fantasy world which was far from reality, but I didn't ever think that a day would come when her ridiculousness would cost me everything I had. You see, it all started when I bought my new car. It was my dream car, an Audi RS7, something I worked toward for years, overtime hours, skipped vacations, and sleepless nights stacking plans. When it finally arrived, polished and growling softly in my driveway, it felt like a reward life had been saving for me. Neighbors admired it, phones out, kids circling it, grown men nodding with respect, and I enjoyed the moment without showing off. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch HOA drama. That was when I noticed someone who didn't look impressed at all. Karen, our HOA president, stood stiff near the sidewalk with a smile that never reached her eyes. It was the kind of smile people wear when they're already plotting. Beside her was her son Brad, hovering closer than necessary, staring at the car longer than anyone else. His eyes traced every curve like he was memorizing it, not admiring it. I brushed the feeling off, told myself I was being paranoid, and figured he was just fascinated by the engineering. I'd lived in this neighborhood long enough to understand how Karen operated. She loved rules more than people and authority more than reason. She carried a clipboard like a weapon and treated fines like trophies. Still, I never thought a car would trigger something darker. That evening, I parked the RS7 carefully, locked it, and walked inside, unaware that my purchase had just become the center of someone else's obsession. Over the next few days, whispers followed me. Some neighbors congratulated me quietly, while others warned me jokingly that Karen hated anything that stood out. I laughed it off, convinced my hard work shouldn't offend anyone. The HOA rules didn't ban nice cars. I checked, twice. Everything was compliant, legal, and clean. What I didn't realize was that Karen didn't care about rules when envy entered the room. She cared about control, and my car disrupted her sense. Before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments what country or which city you're watching this story from. We'd love to know how far this story travels. A few days after buying the car, strange patterns started forming around my driveway. Brad was suddenly everywhere. He lingered near the curb when I arrived home. He paused his bike rides right beside my fence. He stared without blinking. Every glance felt heavier than curiosity. When I washed the RS7, he hovered nearby. When I covered it, he returned later. He asked questions that felt rehearsed. How fast does it go? What year exactly? Does it unlock automatically? I answered vaguely, uneasy but polite. Karen appeared next. She pretended it was coincidence. It never was. She walked her dog past my house repeatedly. She inspected my bins obsessively. One afternoon, she blocked my driveway with Brad beside her. Clipboard ready. Smile loaded. She claimed my trash can lid wasn't fully closed. I knew the routine. Another fine. Another power flex. I stayed calm. I decided to park inside first. That choice mattered more than I knew. As I drove in, Brad's eyes followed every movement. The garage door closed slowly. I entered my code without shielding the keypad. Karen kept talking loudly. Brad stood close enough to hear the beeps. I didn't think twice. Why would I? He was just a kid. That assumption would haunt me. Over the next week, Brad's questions intensified. He asked if it was keyless. He asked if alarms ever failed. He asked if garages reset codes automatically. I laughed some questions off. Others I ignored. Karen watched silently now. No fines. No yelling. That scared me more. Neighbors began whispering again. Someone mentioned Brad bragging at school. Someone else joked he'd borrow the car someday. I brushed it aside. I trusted locks. I trusted walls. I trusted that adults raise their kids better. That trust was misplaced. One night I double-checked the garage. Everything looked normal. The car rested quietly. I slept peacefully. I had no idea someone else had memorized my security like a blueprint. One evening, an HOA meeting dragged on far longer than it ever should have. The kind Karen enjoyed because it gave her uninterrupted control of a room. She stood at the front lecturing about lawn edges, driveway alignment, and fines nobody remembered earning. People checked their phones, sighed, and shifted. One detail stood out to me, though. Brad wasn't there. He usually sat nearby when Karen played Queen, but his seat was empty. I dismissed it, assuming he was home glued to a screen. Midway through her rant, my phone vibrated. Unknown number. I stepped outside, annoyed. The woman on the line sounded panicked, speaking fast. She told me there had been a serious crash involving my Audi. I laughed in disbelief and said my car was parked safely in my garage. There was a pause. Then she said the car had been seen earlier on the highway and was now totaled miles away. My blood ran cold. As I processed that, Karen's phone rang inside the meeting hall. I watched through the glass as her confident posture collapsed, her face drained of color. She rushed out without a word, nearly knocking over a chair. The meeting dissolved into chaos, but I was already running to my car. The accident scene wasn't near our neighborhood. It was far out, beyond familiar streets, somewhere Brad had no business being. When I arrived, my RS-7 was unrecognizable. Wrapped around a barrier, half front end destroyed, smoke still rising. Police lights flashed. Strangers stood watching. Paramedics worked nearby. Brad sat on the curb, bruised and shaken, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the ground. Officers explained everything. Brad had memorized my garage code. The keyless system did the rest. He didn't just take it for a spin around the block. He took it out of town, chasing speed, confidence outweighing skill. He lost control. I stood there numb, staring at years of work reduced to scrap. Karen arrived later, frantic, loud, already blaming technology, blaming me, blaming anything that breathed. Officers shut her down and began documenting everything. As statements were taken, one officer mentioned traffic cameras along the route Brad drove. Karen stiffened, I noticed. That reaction told me this wasn't going to end quietly. Not even close. The very next morning, before Brad had even been discharged, a process server knocked on my door. Karen was suing me. She claimed negligence, unsafe property practices, emotional distress, and something about enticing a minor with luxury machinery. It read like a parody written by someone who'd never met reality. She demanded damages, medical costs, and compensation for her son's trauma. I laughed once, then called my lawyer. Everything flipped fast. Police reports confirmed theft. Security footage showed Brad entering my garage, clear as day. Traffic cameras traced the entire route he took, speeding far beyond limits. Witnesses placed him bragging at a gas station. Karen's tone changed instantly once subpoenas landed. Her confidence evaporated. Depositions exposed texts where she joked about Brad borrowing the car. HOA emails surfaced showing her threatening fines unless I dropped insurance claims. Neighbors turned. The board suspended her pending investigation. Court became a spectacle. Karen tried crying, then yelling, then blaming technology again. The judge wasn't amused. The suit against me was dismissed aggressively. Counterclaims followed. Insurance covered part of the loss, but Karen and Brad were found liable for the rest. The HOA removed her presidency unanimously after auditors uncovered misused funds. Brad faced charges for vehicle theft and reckless driving. Karen tried spinning it as persecution. It didn't work. Restitution orders piled up, fines, legal fees, mandatory counseling, community service. Her reputation collapsed faster than my engine had. People stopped waving, doors closed when she approached. The neighborhood finally breathed. I stood in my empty driveway weeks later, garage quiet, RS-7 gone, but something else replaced it. Peace. Justice didn't roar like an engine, but it landed heavier. Karen lost the control she worshipped. Brad learned consequences don't reset like garage codes. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.